Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to continue with our series of leak videos about One Piece chapters, and this time we're going to talk about the events that are taking place in One Piece chapter 1056. Please keep in mind that these are just leaks and early ones at that, and we don't have the complete information for the chapter yet. So as the leaks come out throughout the week, we are going to bring more videos, so please be sure to stay tuned so we can bring as much detail as possible. And aside from that, please remember that these things might be in a different form or in a different order from the official chapter, and so we're just going to take the little bits of, details that we have to speculate what may be happening in chapter 1056. But before we dive into the leaks, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for a bunch of episodes, we'd absolutely be honored if you consider leaving us a like, or even subscribing and leaving us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content, and if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing the video or even the channel with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the leaks. In the previous chapter of 1055, we saw that the situation in Wano has seemed to stabilize. Shanks, who was passing through just near Wano country to look for Bartolomeo, felt the presence of Ryukugyu, and so he ended up using his Conqueror's Haki to make the Admiral stop attacking the citizens of Wano and to back off his attack. In addition to that, we saw that Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, and Jinbei had been looking over the situation, and the Haki was able to get Luffy's attention, and he said that a certain face came into his mind when he felt it run through Wano, indicating that Luffy may meet again soon with Shanks because he knew he was so close. Also in chapter 1055, we got amazing new information about Wano and how it was a much larger country at the base of a volcano. But because of borders that were placed 800 years ago, this part of Wano ended up being flooded by rain, and the citizens had to take refuge higher up around the cone of the volcano. In addition to just the part of Wano that's flooded under all of this water, we also learned that Pluton, one of the ancient weapons, was revealed, and in order for it to be freed and used, Wano's borders must be broken and opened. In these early leaks of chapter 1056, it looks like we're getting a continuation of these events. Now, as we do with all of our leak videos, before we go into depth with each subject, we're going to go over a list of topics and we'll then take each one in turn. So here's our list of our early leaks of chapter 1056. First, the chapter is called Cross Guild. Second, the cover story shows Katakuri and his brother Oven fighting Germa 66. Third, the title of the chapter refers to Buggy's new organization that appears in the news, which Crocodile and Mihawk seem to have joined. Fourth, Buggy started putting a price on different sailors' or marines' heads. Fifth, Inuyarashi and Nekomamushi are going to stay in Wano country, and they choose Carrot as the next successor to lead the Minks. Sixth, Shinobu becomes thin and beautiful again after receiving Ryukugyu's attack. Seventh, at the end of the chapter, we see that Yamato is standing on the roof of Wano Castle. And finally, eighth, next week we won't have a chapter because we are going to have a break in the manga. Now that we've covered the topics in this chapter, let's talk about each of these things and what they could represent in a little bit more detail, so we can get an idea of what might happen in this chapter of 1056. Starting with the events of the cover story, we see that now Katakuri and Oven are taking on German 66, who attacked Whole Cake Island in search of Caesar Clown. In previous chapters' cover stories, it seemed they were able to rescue the scientist. However, apparently they were intercepted by Big Mom's two most powerful sons as they were trying to make their escape. And for now, it seems that these fights are going to just be remain to the initial pages and cover stories, because they're not really the main focus of what we have going on in the manga right now. But we'll hopefully get to see the outcome of this fight in the future, in addition to maybe some information as to why Germa needed Caesar so much. It's still a little too early to assume anything, but it's quite likely that Vinsmoke Judge had sent his sons and his daughter to rescue the scientist to make some improvements on his sons or his daughter, or even his general men that he artificially produces. This would allow him to increase the strength of not only his overall army, but maybe even fetch a higher price, because we do know that the Vinsmoke family does produce this army, and it is for hire. So either way, we're hoping and looking forward to see why Vinsmoke Judge was after Caesar in the first place. And one last thing before we switch topics is that we have to also consider the fact that the Vinsmoke family may actually become a part of our final conflict. Now, whether they're going to choose Luffy's side because they want to be with Sanji, or if they're going to choose the world government side, is yet to be determined. But it does leave an interesting question in the air, is that in this greatest of great conflicts at the end of our saga, where is the Vinsmoke family going to come down? Or will it be split? But again, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. Moving on, based on the the title, we have information that Buggy, Crocodile, and Mihawk have allied themselves, forming a new crew of very powerful pirates and ex-warlords. And because of this alliance, Buggy probably managed to become a Yonko, because now his crew has two incredibly great pirates that have made their fame just as well as Buggy has along their journey. So now, Buggy's crew really presents itself as a great threat worldwide. Now, the main objectives of this crew is still really unknown, but it could be linked to the Navy, because after all, since the dissolution of the warlord system, the pirates that held that title can be hunted. So Buggy, Crocodile, and Mihawk no longer have that, protection. But also maybe they're looking to get even, because now that they've got their bounties back and don't have a reason to protect the Marines or the world government, maybe they're gonna seek some revenge, or, have to at least, if nothing else, at least fight off anybody who comes to take their heads. One other thing to consider is because they can now hunt Marines, this could actually allow them to increase their fame more. Because once again, as people were made warlords, their bounties were effectively frozen. But now if they were able to go out and take on even somebody like a vice admiral or even an admiral completely, the greater the fame that they would actually get in the world. Now, we don't know if other ex-Shichibukais will join the alliance of Buggy, Crocodile, but we do expect that we could see that they're gonna be another thing that's on the world government's radar, because they are a real world threat. Now, we honestly here at the channel have the opinion that we don't think this alliance is necessarily going to interfere with the journey of Luffy and the Straw Hats, because their objective, at least so far, is not to get the One Piece, but really to take the heat off of them from the Marines that is now in search of them. But this also opens up a great possibility that in the future, they could end up being allies of the Straw Hats in this great conflict that is yet to come. And it could even be related to the Navy, the world government, and the reason why these two crews can unite, because they're gonna have the same goal in common. However, it could play out a slightly different way, where if the crew was able to take out the Marines that were hunting them, it would change the world a little bit, but with that goal complete, it could also allow Buggy, Crocodile, and Mihawk to pursue other goals, such as going after the One Piece. This would not only make them enemies of the Straw Hats, or maybe the way that we end up bringing the crews together, but it's gonna make the adventure more challenging. However, it would have a resolution to something that we in the fandom have wanted to see for a very long time, which is of course that final matchup between Zoro and Mihawk to find out who indeed is the greatest swordsman in the world. So however it plays out, we know that they're gonna have to cross swords and paths, but it'll just have to see how it plays out. Next in the links, we got some more information focused on Wano, where Inuyarashi and Nekomamushi have decided to stay in Wano to protect the country with the side of the new shogun Momonosuke, so that they can once again work to keep the country safe and usher in an era of peace. And because Inuyarashi and Nekomamushi are gonna stay in Wano, this would result in Zou being left without a leader to command the citizens of the island. But while thinking about the possibility of staying in Wano, the two decided who would lead the inhabitants of Zou, choosing none other than Carrot, the person most worthy of being able to take care of the inhabitants of Zou and lead them to a prosperous future. She is very intelligent and a powerful character, possessing one of the greatest strengths and agility among the minks. Now, though she's still pretty young, Carrot still shows an incredible determination, being the mink who most deserves this position as a leader, as she knows how to make good decisions and is strong enough to defend her allies. Now, we don't know what her decision would be yet, but it's very likely that of course she'll accept. So the people of Wano can then move on, and even if they've lost really important people during Whole Cake and Wano, it does give a bit of closure where we know that the next kind of steps are gonna be in good hands. Another thing to consider is that we currently don't know what the fate of the citizens of Zou are. I mean, we've been away from there for quite a while, and we don't know what Carrot's goals might be in relation to the island or where they might go in the future. But we also know that Carrot does have a great love and affection for the Straw Hats and would want to help them in any future combat. For in addition to the mink warriors, they also have Zanisha, this great element with an incredible massive strength and capable of easily destroying large ships or great destruction across islands. And when the Straw Hats end up in some kind of major conflict in the future, we know that the minks and Zanisha will be there for help. Next in the chapter, we got some information about what happened after the conflict against Ryukugyu, and it said that after the Admiral absorbed the nutrients from the body of the Red Scabbards, Shinobu became thin and beautiful again, something that she already was shown during the past, but during the 20 years it seems like her appearance had changed and she had gotten a little bit more weight and size and seemed to even get shorter for some unknown reason. However, with the absorption of nutrients from her body, it made Shinobu return to her beautiful body again, something kind of similar that happened to Queen during his battle with the Admiral earlier in Udon Prison. Queen, of course, was also much larger than Shinobu and seemed to be kind of completely drained out to a very skinny way because his nutrients were sucked out by Ryokugyu's roots. So this reveals to us that they're not only absorbing nutrients from somebody's body, but also seem to somehow absorb the body fat, making a person much thinner. Now, we don't know what the reaction of Shinobu and her companions is going to be, but it's very likely that she might like looking this way again. Any conversation between the scabbards still hasn't been leaked yet, but we'll still have some information about how they're feeling after they manage to get Ryukugyu to back off from Wano. And finally, at the end of the chapter, we have Yamato seen at the top of Wano Castle. Now, we don't know exactly why. Yamato might just be there to reflect on his life and looking for reasons to continue his journey of venturing into the world. There's even a possibility that Yamato is looking around Wano to see if there aren't any other enemies that might be lurking around the country, so everyone can stay safe. With all that covered, friends, these are the leaks so far that we have, and also please remember that after this upcoming chapter of 1056, we are going to have a break from the magazine. But also please remember, ladies and gentlemen, that as we learn more about what's going on with chapter 1056, we will be sure to post another video, so make sure you stay tuned so you can stay up to date about what's going on in our wonderful world of One Piece. So as we wrap up the video, I want to thank you all so much for watching all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.